Good morning, friends! I feel like it's been forever since I've actually sat down to do a proper reading update, and it figures that the reason I would get back on camera is because OtakuAthon is officially starting today, March 1st. Yes, this is the first day of OtakuAthon. By now, you probably know that Kristin over at Super Space Chick and I have set out to read as much manga and watch as much anime as we can over the course of 4 days. And so I'm gonna kick things off by reading a couple of different volume 1s. I'm bringing them with me to work so I can read whatever I want. I have this thing where I usually buy the first volume of a manga in order to decide whether or not I want to continue it. Occasionally I'll borrow it from the library, but most of the time I'll at least buy it, because usually when I pick my manga it's for the artwork. So I have 3 things that I'm going to try and read and then decide whether or not to continue with the series. First is Library Wars, which has story and art by Kiro Yumi, and the original concept is by Hiro Arikawa. And the entire concept of this is basically that there's a special library defense force where the library is trying to protect their book collection from the federal government who wants to get rid of books that are deemed unsuitable. The main character, Iko Kasahara, wants to join this defense force, and she does, and now she's training under this grumpy dude, and I am living for that premise. The next volume 1 that I'm gonna try and read is The Demon Prince of Momochi House, which has story and art by Aya Shodo. And this basically is about a main character named Himari, and she discovers that she's inherited this inn that's on the borderline between the human world and the spirit world. And I'm sure that's where the Demon Prince comes in. Very much looking forward to reading that one. And the last one is actually the one I'm most excited about and probably will read first. That's Anonymous Noise, and the story and art is by Ryoko Fukuyama. Such a cute and bright cover. The main character is Nino, I want to say, and she has a childhood friend that moved away, and then she has another friend that moved away, and the one thing that she has promised in order for her to reunite with these friends is to keep on singing. Sounds so great, and I cannot wait to read it. So yeah, those are my first 3 things that I will tackle for OtakuAthon. I don't know how much I'll get read while I'm out and while I'm at work. But I also figured I would show you what I'm wearing because my shirt is very OtakuAthon appropriate. Better view, right there. There you go. Ninja Academy. Hidden Thief Village. In case you're wondering what fandom that is, obviously it's Naruto. I love Naruto. I know you guys know this, but I'm just gonna say it again because I do. I love it. I think the world is insanely great, and I really enjoy the characters in there, and it's been such a whirlwind since I finished it. So there. Anyway, I'll check in with you guys later. So, quick OtakuAthon update. I finished one of the manga volumes I carried with me when I commuted in today. Where is it? I finished the first volume of Library Wars, Love and War, and I'm kind of annoyed that I don't have the rest of the series. I am trying to show some restraint and not buying it yet, but it was really entertaining. And I'm almost done reading The Demon Prince of Momochi House, which is also the first volume. It's also really good so far, but I think I liked Library Wars just a smidge better. Maki and I are also planning to watch something today. I think we're watching Fireworks, right? I don't know if we'll watch any more anime, but I really, like, I have to tell you guys, like, I spent the entire day just listening to different anime opening and closing credit songs, and I'm just like, feelings. My particular favorites are all from Naruto, which is not shocking. The one I used for my Instagram story today is actually my favorite Naruto opening theme of the entire show. It's just so good, and it gives me so many feelings, and now I feel like I need to rewatch Naruto again from the start, and that's a commitment because that's like 1,000 episodes. I don't even know anymore. Anyway, I hope you guys are having fun. By the time you see this, OtakuAthon will be over, but I hope that while it is going on, if you are joining us, that you have been having as good a time as Kristin and I are. Good morning, friends. It's officially day 2 of OtakuAthon, and before I share what I am going to be reading this morning, I thought I would finish wrapping up after yesterday. As you might have seen from that clip that I showed, we watched Fireworks yesterday, which is a movie that came out sometime last year, and we meant to go see it, but we never got to catch it in the theater, so we finally watched it yesterday. The entire premise is that there is a girl and a boy. They go to the same school, and the girl ends up finding this artifact on the beach that sort of gives them a repeat of the day. The entire situation involves the girl having to move away because her mom is getting remarried, and so this boy and this girl end up spending like this one day together, and it's really interesting. I thought it was really clever. It's not a new favorite for me, but I did think it was beautifully animated, and I also think that it's the kind of story that will make you think a lot about time and space and feelings and stuff like that. So that was fun. I also finished reading The Demon Prince of Momochi House by Aya Shoto. Again, not a new favorite, but it has a really fun concept. It plays out almost exactly like you would think, considering that it's entirely about a girl who ends up inheriting a house that is on the border of the human and spirit worlds at the same time. It's interesting. I thought it was cute. Like, she's sort of getting to find her place in the house by the end of it, and I'm curious to see how that plays out in the rest of the series. But it's not one that I would prioritize reading right away. And then I read Anonymous Noise, which is by Ryoko Fukuyama. I think I liked it a little better than The Demon Prince of Momochi House, but not as much as Library Wars. I am also very curious to see where this goes. I think it's hard to read a little bit because of all this unrequited love that's going on. Like, I just want people to be happy, okay? But yesterday, I started reading Hanakimi. This is the first 3-in-1 volume, and I finished volume 1. And I'm familiar-ish with this story because I have seen an iteration of it. I watched the Korean drama back in the day with my friend Mutya, and we both really enjoyed it. It was really funny, and I don't know, it's just a very enjoyable story. So it's sort of like a romantic comedy, but not. There are a lot of shenanigans. In this story, Mizuki Ashiya has transferred to an all-boys boarding school. Yes, she's a girl disguising herself as a boy, in order to meet her favorite high jumper who goes to the school, and then she finds out that he has stopped high jumping, and so she's determined to get him to go back to doing that. And of course, there's a lot of other people that she meets at the school, and shenanigans ensue. And I can't wait to find out what happens next. I also plan to tackle 3 volumes of Paradise Kiss this morning by Ayazawa. Paradise Kiss is about Yukari, who is a senior in high school and who is trying to figure out what she really wants to do after high school. And she has pretty much followed like the typical path all her life until she has a run-in with a group of fashion students who ask her to be the model in their show. And from there, the trajectory of her life changes dramatically. I've actually read the first volume and I really enjoyed that one, and so I cannot wait to read the rest of it and find out what happens, especially because there were a lot of things that happened in that first volume that I need like closure on. Also, my Kimi no Na wa shirt, because I needed to dress in theme for today. Okay, OtakuAthon update for right now. I finished reading a lot more manga since last time. Finished Hanakimi. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely gonna read the next one. It's definitely an out there premise, because how believable is it that this girl could survive pretending to be a boy at a boys' school for so long with no one finding her out, or so she thinks, is beyond me. But I am still really having fun reading it. I think it's out there, but it's really fun. And then I actually read the entirety of Parakiss. So I'm going to show you the covers because I really like them. This is the first one. This is the second one. And this is the last one. And I actually really liked it. I had already read the first one last year and I really liked that one. I think what I enjoy most about it is that it sort of challenges the notion of having to follow the path that's been laid out for you, and instead exploring your options and trying to figure out what you're passionate about. I will say that it's pretty messed up in terms of the romance and relationships. I mean, like, it's fairly typical anime manga fare, and I didn't mind it so much. I was living for it, really, for all of this drama and like the ups and downs, even though it was also making me incredibly like frustrated and upset at times. It also didn't end the way I thought it was going to, but it made me happy, but it also made me want to hurt someone at the same time. I don't even know how to explain it, but suffice to say, I'm glad I finally finished the series and I really enjoyed it. So that is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mangas that I've finished, but I'm still in a manga mood. So take a break from all of the angst that I just read. I'm gonna read Happy Marriage by Maki and Joji, which I actually can't remember the premise of, but I know Kristin is also reading this, or has read it already for OtakuAthon, and she thought it was fun, so I'm hoping I will think the same way. After that, I'm going to dive into the Genbu Kaiden of Fushigi Yugi, which is by Iwatase. I am prepared for all of my feelings to come into play again. What's new? Anyway, that's really all that I have for you right now. Can't wait to keep on going, and yes, I'm using a Mickey straw because that's how old I am. Also, look, I'm wearing my Shinobi flak jacket hoodie, which is one of my favorite things. It's been a couple of hours since the last time I updated you guys. Since then, I have finished reading the first volume of Happy Marriage by Maki and Joji, and that one is really fun. Like, the premise is that this girl who works in a Japanese corporation gets married to the president of the company in order to get help with paying off her dad's debts. And it starts much like you would expect, where they don't know anything about each other, and she kind of doesn't like the situation they're in and wants to get out of it, but then she's starting to get to know him and he intrigues her, and it's really fun so far. Like, it's just fun. And then I started reading the Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden by Yu Watase. I am 6 volumes into it, and D-Y-I-N-G, because it has all of the hallmarks of the Fushigi Yugi story: the priestess, the 7 celestial warriors, the girl traveling from the real world into another land, but it also has its own unique qualities because it's a different time period that she's traveling from, and she's also the first of the priestesses to show up in the book. And it's just really good so far. I'm quite enjoying myself. There is a lot of fan service in it, admittedly, but it's really fun, and I feel like I'm going to die by the end of it. Die of feelings. Yeah, that's how that's been going so far. It's been fun. I have been really enjoying the fact that I spent most of today just like indulging myself when it comes to manga. I read it really quickly. Like, it takes me a while with the bigger ones, like the 3-in-1s, but like manga volumes don't take me that long at all. But they're so good and they're so much fun, and now I just have a better idea of which series like I would like to keep going with. I also got to read series that Maki has enjoyed, which I'm really loving. So tomorrow I might try to devote a little more time to watching anime, but we'll see how that goes. Good morning, everyone. It's day 3 of OtakuAthon, so I thought I would share an update. I didn't get more reading done yesterday because Maki left for the Philippines, so we brought him to the airport, and then I hung out with my sisters a little bit. But today I plan to do a little more reading and maybe a little bit of anime watching. I'm also, again, dressed appropriately. I got my Bleach shirt on here with my favorite boys on it. So, in case you're wondering what I would be reading, this morning I'm going to try to tackle the rest of Genbu Kaiden, even though it's probably going to murder me where I stand, because feels, that's all I got. And then, I don't know, I also plan to clean my closet today, so that's going to take up a couple of hours, but hopefully I can squeeze in some other things before I go to sleep tonight. Good morning, everyone! Happy day 4 of OtakuAthon. I'm really sad that today is the last day, but there's going to be more on that a little later. I meant to finish reading the Genbu Kaiden yesterday, but I got really distracted because my sisters and I decided it was time to do our annual, like, spring clean of the apartment, so we each cleaned our own rooms, and then we went through the kitchen, we went through the living room, and the end result is that we're pretty much like culling a lot of stuff, and we threw away a lot of stuff. I have not touched my shelves yet because that's going to be a whole other like day of work for me. I don't know if I'll start it today, we'll see, but in the meantime I'm going to concentrate on finishing Genbu Kaiden. But I just wanted to update you guys. So yesterday I read 1 volume of Genbu Kaiden, and it hurt me so much that I was like, I need to take a break in between reading all of this. So I did with the cleaning, but I also ended up playing Kingdom Hearts. I finished one entire world yesterday with my sisters watching, and that was really fun. And I'm gonna count it just because Final Fantasy. Anyway, today I plan to finish Genbu Kaiden, like I said, but also, if you guys want to see my sort of messy anime shelves, I can show them to you. I really have to fix those. But, yeah, quick run through there. It's kind of a mess right now, but yeah. So, aside from the 4 remaining volumes of Genbu Kaiden that I have left, I'm also going to try and tackle a couple more things. I don't know if I'll be watching manga this afternoon. No. I don't know if I'll end up watching an anime this afternoon instead of reading more manga, but in case I do read more manga, these are my options. So, I have the first volume of The Water Dragon's Bride by Ray Toma. And then I also have the first volume of Kiss of the Rose Princess by Aya Shoro. I have this first volume, I guess, of We Were There by Yuki Obata. And then I have a couple of series, so I need to reread the first volumes of these. So there's Wotakoi, I have 1, 2, and 3. And then I have 1 and 2 of Dream and Sun. So we'll see what I tackle. I think I'm just going to set an alarm at some point so that I can decide, like, what to do next. I also have Yona actually to read, but that's like 16 volumes because I want to start from the beginning, so we'll see. I just want to take a moment to say that I'm very emotional because I just finished reading the Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden arc, and I'm just like, the first time I watched Fushigi Yugi, which is the SS arc, the Seiryu and Suzaku arc, I was this emotional over a lot of things that happened in that series. There are so many things, so many painful and emotional and difficult things that go on in that series. And I was like a mess over it. And now I'm a mess over fucking Genbu because, like, feelings. I just have a lot of feelings, and apparently they come out when I'm reading manga or watching anime, like, in full force, and I can't even. So that's where I'm at. Okay, everyone, now that I am marginally calmer after finishing Genbu Gaiden, I decided I would film this just in case I don't get a chance to wrap things up later. Because I think the next thing I'm going to do after I finish eating my lunch is go and watch an anime, which I might show clips of after this. But I quickly wanted to do a wrap-up of all the manga that I managed to read, so I just finished reading We Were There by Yuki Obata. This is volume 1. This is a contemporary manga where the main character, Nanami, is in high school and she starts having a crush on her classmate named Yano. And I don't know, there's just something about this one that didn't ultimately work for me. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't immediately great either. I'm still curious enough to see how the story plays out because the entire premise is that she finds out that he has actually had a girlfriend in the past and the girlfriend died. And so she finds his personality and him very confusing, but she can't help her feelings for him. So this one was alright. I don't know if I'll continue the rest of the series, we'll see. And then I actually read an entire series, one entire series, Paradise Kiss by Ayazawa, who is also the author of Nana, which I love. Paradise Kiss, this is the collected volume number 1, and I also had 2 and 3. And this one is essentially about a girl named Yukari, and she is a senior in high school, and she is preparing for her university exams, but she's not sure that's entirely what she wants. And so one day she has a run-in with some people at the park, and they ask her to model in their fashion show because they're fashion design students. And that changes the trajectory of her life forever, because she is forced to, like, reconsider what her priorities are and what she really wants out of life. But yeah, there's a lot of drama in this one, especially when it comes to the romance, which is also very hot and cold, but I was living for it. I think it's just because I am familiar with Ayazawa's style and I really enjoy it. It's very, like, soap opera levels of drama, and I lived for it, and I was, like, screaming by the end of this because I had a lot of feelings. Kristin knows because I yelled at her, but I am glad I finally finished the series. It's definitely a solid series read, and I actually want to read this one and Nana again at some point in the future. Speaking of series I finished, I also finished the 12 volumes of Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden by Yu Watase. If you are familiar with Fushigi Yugi, then you will probably be able to guess that this story does have a lot of similar elements. I love Fushigi Yugi. It's probably my all-time favorite anime. I say that now and then I started thinking about all the anime I love. But in Fushigi Yugi, the anime, the original series, which is the Seiryu and Suzaku arcs, the two girls get sucked into the world of the 4 gods, and they become the legendary priestesses of Suzaku and Seiryu, respectively. In this one, it is the story of the priestess of Genbu, which is the original, like, she's the first priestess. And at first I was like, okay, I'm into it. I like that it has a lot of similarities with Fushigi Yugi, like the original arc. I enjoy, like, this setup. And then it got really, really intensely emotional for me because I was so invested in Takiko and her 7 celestial warriors and their story. It is ultimately very similar in some respects to the original arc. This managed to be just different enough that I was, like, so hooked on it, and I absolutely loved it. I was very emotional. I'm sure you could probably tell from that last clip, but definitely glad I read this. Definitely glad Maki was like, you need to read this. Next, we have the first volume of Anonymous Noise, which is by Ryoko Fukuyama. This one is also a contemporary. It is about a girl named Nino, and she has a, like, very striking singing voice, and that is the thing that she believes will bring both of her childhood friends, Yuzu and Momo, back into her life, and so she keeps on singing. And I am curious to see how this goes on, but I don't think it's also going to be a priority for me to continue the series just yet. I also read the first volume of The Demon Prince of Momochi House by Aya Shodo. This story, though. So basically, on her 16th birthday, Himari goes to this house that she inherited, and it turns out that that house is literally on the border of the material world and the spiritual world, and so she was supposed to be its protector, but there's this boy, Aoi, who lives in the house, who is now the Omomari, who protects the world from evil spirits that want to get out, and he's stuck in the house forever, basically. And I like this premise, I like where it's going, but again, it's not one that immediately hooked me. I am curious about it. However, the next one is a series I will definitely continue, and that's Library Wars, Love and War. This is volume 1. The story and the art is by Kiro Yumi, and the original concept is by Hiro Arakawa, because I believe it was a light novel first. And Anyway, in this world, books are being censored by the federal government, and so local governments have decided to take it upon themselves to help their libraries maintain their collections. And so the main character in this one is Iko Kasahara, and she has dreamed of becoming a part of the library defense force all her life. And so she's finally like training for that, but she's under this very strict and like kind of grumpy dude, and you guys know I live with my strict, grumpy, like captain of the guard types, and so I was really into this one, and I cannot wait to continue the series. Whew, so many things to hold up. Okay, another volume 1 that I read was Happy Marriage, which is by Maki and Joji, and the premise of this one is that the main character Chiwa has agreed to an arranged marriage with the CEO, the president of her company that she works for, Hokuto Mamiya, and at first, like, obviously they have their reservations, especially Chiwa, because she's like, she wanted to marry for love, and she doesn't know how this is gonna go, and Hokuto's kind of like stoic, but they're starting to grow on each other in this one, and I'm just here for it. It is a trope that I quite enjoy, and I am looking forward to seeing how it plays out in the rest of the series. And then I also read this collected edition of volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Hanakimi, which is by Hisaya Nakajo. And I've actually watched a Korean drama version of this story. Hanakimi basically has a main character named Mizuki Shia, who has gone to Japan to go to the same school as her favorite high jumper, who happens to be a male, Izumi Sano. And so she goes to his high school, but she has to disguise herself as a boy because it's an all-boys school. And so it's the ups and downs of her experience at that school, pretending to be a boy, the people who know she's not a boy, and all of the things that ensue as she tries to pursue this friendship with Sano and to like see him high jump. And it's great. I quite enjoy it. I think it's really fun. I'm very curious to see how it plays out in the manga because I've never read it before, so that was very enjoyable. And that's pretty much all I read already as of right now. That's a lot of volumes if I really think about it. I may squeeze in some later, and if I do, then I will wrap those up separately, but for now, I have to say that this has been a very successful OtakuAthon for me. Another thing that I managed to do was watch Fireworks with Maki, which is a movie that we wanted to watch. It's a contemporary sci-fi sort of story where the two main characters are classmates at school, but the girl is going to move away because her mom is getting remarried, and they keep reliving like one particular, not even day, it's like evening over and over again because the girl has found like this mysterious thing that can slightly shift the course of events in the world. And it's very interesting to think about conceptually, and it also makes you really question a lot of things, like what would you do, or what if you were in that situation, how would you react? And there's like a hint of a romance in it, which is also pretty cool. It's also beautifully animated and detailed, which I really enjoyed. It's not a new favorite for me, but I am glad I watched it. Another thing I did that I'm going to count for OtakuAthon is that I played Kingdom Hearts 3. I finished Another World yesterday, and it was really fun. It gave me a tough time at the very end. Like, during it was fine, but then by the time I hit the end, I was like, this is very hard, and I didn't think I would make it, but I did. In case you didn't already know, I am a Kingdom Hearts fan. I've played the first, the second, and a couple of the other games, and I'm really close to finishing 3 now, and when I'm finished with it, I'm gonna be so sad, and I was thinking that I might start over and play the first one onwards. But anyway, that's all I've got for you guys right now. In case I don't come back and say goodbye and wrap up again, I just wanted to say that OtakuAthon has been so fun, and it's been so great seeing everyone participate. And you can look forward to another session of it in June. Kristin and I were talking about it, and we want to do it regularly. We want to make this a regular thing because for us, anime and manga are just as important to our lives and essential to them as any other thing that we are passionate about. And so we hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys will join us again. Can't wait. Bye!
鏡よ鏡、この国で一番美しい娘は曖昧綺麗に並べたけれど本当に使いたい言葉だけ
So, you know how I said earlier that I wasn't going to pop in for another wrap-up? That's a lie, because I wanted to pop in and talk about the first 3 episodes of Snow White with the Red Hair, which I just started watching, and I already love it. I think it's such a great show. The premise is so good. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Potion series by Amy Alward, which I never finished. I just read the first one, but it reminds me of that. It also gives me a little bit of Yona vibes. which is great. I love the main character, Shiroyuki. She is a great heroine, and I think it's going to be so fun to keep on following her adventures. And I'm also very much a big fan of Prince Zen, who Rachel says that she is the head of his line, and so I will happily guard the back of that line and just get in behind her because he is amazing. He reminds me of like a cross between Nikolai Lantsov and Dorian from the Throne of Glass series, and it's such an irresistible combination. And I have loved it so far. It's only been 3 episodes, and I'm so excited to get to the rest of it. So yeah, oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love finding new things to fangirl over in manga and anime world. It's so great.